Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Powermetrix's webinar series. Today's presentation is a quiz show titled, What's Wrong with That Meter? And now your host, the one, the only, Art Flash.
Hey. Good morning out there. How's everybody doing? This is What's Wrong with That Meter, and I'm your host, Art Flash. And as always, with me in the booth, JP. How we doing, JP?
We're doing well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Anything exciting this weekend?
This webinar.
Oh, shocking. So, this morning we're going to be here on What's Wrong with That Meter. And first of all, let's go ahead and meet our contestants out there. But does anybody know JP? I mean, we talk with JP all the time, but JP, how's the family doing?
Family good? Very well, thank you.
Good, good. Wife good?
Very well.
Good. You know, we all knew JP was going to marry that gal. There was no way he could resist her. Yeah, that's right. Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, yes, he did. Well, let's go ahead and meet our contestants today. First of all, we've got from Clemson University. He might be the wrong kind of tiger, but he's our tiger. We've got Phil Fischbach. How you doing over here, Phil?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks
for
having me.
Oh, yeah. Good deal. So, M.E. from Clemson.
M.E. from Clemson.
M.E. So basically that first year they just taught you, if it's moving it's not supposed to, put the duct tape on it, and if it's not moving it's supposed to, hit it with the WD-40.
There's only two tools in the toolbox.
That's right.
The duct tape and the WD.
Exactly.
That's right.
And our other contestant, you know him, you love him. If you're out there in the field and you look up at that utility pole and it doesn't look good, or you look down at the bottom and it doesn't look good, who are you going to call? It ain't Ghostbusters. Here's Ray Gore. How you doing, Ray?
Oh, yes.
How's it doing? How's it going, Ray?
Yes, good.
Good.
Peace, brother, peace.
And last but not least, certainly, we've got coming in from L.A., that's Lower Alabama, we've got Daryl Snow. How we doing this morning, Daryl?
Doing good.
Good. Looking forward to the quiz show here, are we?
Yeah.
Good. All right, well, I'm your MC, as I said, so what we're going to do this morning, we're going to hit the guys with some general knowledge questions, and then all of this is for a trip to sunny Barbados. So we're going to go ahead and start this thing off here. First, a couple little things I got to go over, which is the upcoming schedule, and today, obviously, we're doing a metering quiz show, but then we're also scheduled to do a field trip and get some field testing done out there, so we can give you some even greater questions moving forward. But we're always wanting to do that field trip. Mother Nature has not been cooperating, but so far we're keeping it on the back burner, and as soon as we can, we're going to jump out there and get some field testing done, and I'm even going to carry the professor with me, Ray Gore. So we're looking forward to getting out there and doing that. And as you always hear from us time and time again, there's always a new way to learn out there with this new world we're dealing with. And so if you want to, you can call in and we can set up a demo. We've got some more we're actually doing this week. Or you can call us if you want any kind of training. And that's really what these things are about. So if you want to call and get some training on a specific meter form or any kind of process or specific test, just give us a call. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Are you guys ready? But as you know, you kind of know how I roll. So before we get started, and just to make sure we get through this, I'm going to go ahead and say a quick prayer if you don't mind. So I'm going to ease over here. Father, thank you so much for this time today to not only have some fun, but also to learn our craft better. And Father, in these times right now, we see a lot of hate, not enough love, Father, because we got a lot of tension in this country, and we just need to all remember we are all created in the image of God. No one's any better or any worse because of the color of their skin, gender, anything. We all created in your image, Father. So please let us have less hate and more love because, as your Son said, the greatest commandment is to love our neighbor as ourselves. So, Father, let us practice more of that. Let us try and move forward as a nation. And most importantly, Father, I just thank you so much for what your Son did. Without that, I couldn't even pray right now. So all these things I ask and say, according to the will of the one who paid it all, my brother, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So let's get started with this thing. So just so you know, I have not seen the questions. So as usual, I'm going to be in the dark. So let's go ahead. So really, it's just the same thing you see every week when you watch us. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. And by the way, we certainly appreciate Daryl taking a break to do this with us this morning. So here we go. Let's get this thing cranked up. Which is the unit of measure for power? Question number 1. I heard either Ray's got gas or he knows the answer. All right, here we go. So we've got A, ampere, B, volt, C, ohm, or D, watt. Oh! I think Ray already beat you on that one. I heard like I said, either Ray had the answer or he had the burrito last night. So what do you think, Ray?
C.
I had a burrito too. Art is like this, sir. I think I'm going to have to go with D.
All right. Survey says D.
D.
Tell him what he's won, Johnny. All right. Good job. Good job. D. It would be watts. And as we know and we've talked about a lot, you got some other stuff up there. If you got volts times amps times power factor, you get watts.
Yeah.
That's right. What's wrong with that meter? That's why we started out that way. All right. Let's go to question number 2. Which is the symbol of a standard unit of billable electricity supplied to the customer? A, kilowatt hour, B, I heard Daryl make a noise, so either he's shooing the cat out of the kitchen or he knows the answer. So, but I'll read you know what, Daryl? I'm just going to let you take it from here, and you just give us the answer.
A.
A. Daryl says A. Survey says ding, 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 ding. Way to go, Daryl. So, which is the symbol of a standard unit of billable electricity supplied to the customer? If you've ever looked at your electric bill before you got that sticker shock, you saw kilowatt hour. So there we go. All right, so the answer is A, kilowatt hours.
I just can't look at art anymore.
You'll never look at art again, literally. Your wife will want to go to the museum and no, I've got this thing about art now. Okay. All right, look at question number 3. In regards to PF, what would PF be there, Phil?
That is Phil Fischbach.
Phil Fischbach. It would be in the Clemson Hall of Fame, but back here.
It also could be power factor.
I love it. In regards to power factor, the current is blank the voltage.
I think I heard a buzz from Lower
I
Alabama.
don't think I heard Low Alabama not only bragging on them winning the national championship again, except for this fellow. I think he may be an Auburn fan. But well, yeah. What would the answer be on that one, Daryl?
Would it be B?
Yes.
I'm thinking B. And because if you look at this, if I woke up here, can you see me on the?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay, I like that. Well, anyway, so glad we got that worked out ahead of time. All right, so anyway, you can see that if you take these vectors and you rotate them like hands on a clock in a counterclockwise direction, you'll see that VAN comes across there before IA. So you would say that IA is lagging or trailing and going behind the voltage. So it is definitely lagging the voltage. The current is lagging the voltage. Daryl's killing it. All right. That Barbados trip is looking good for old Daryl. All right. Question number 4. What were the largest percentage of issues, 37% found in a study by a large municipal? A, faulty meter. B, wiring error. C, administrative error. Or D, CT problem.
Is that a good one?
That was a good one, and it makes me really wish we had invested in some buzzers. All right, so here we go.
That's right.
So what would you say, Phil?
I'm going to roll with the good old, that 3 looks like a 5 administrative error.
Administrative
C.
errors. C. That survey says,
Yes.
oh, these guys are killing it.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So we know that administrative error, and we're talking about basically when you get those billing multipliers wrong, they are obviously when instead of 800 you're multiplying by, you're only multiplying by 20, that's a big hit. So those numbers get to be big numbers. So when you're not multiplying by the big numbers, you're multiplying by the smaller numbers because you don't have that correct. When you've done that, the calculations between, if you got a 400 to 5 and then a 25, you have to take those and convert them so that, remember, we transform it down to meter it. We got to transform it back up. We got to take it back up to bill somebody, right?
Tell him, Art. Tell him.
Tell them, Art. Preach it, Art. Thank you, Art. All right, here we go. So let's go to question number 5. What is this service type? Woo! All right.
choices yet.
We haven't even got choices yet, and Ray's already got a hairball. All right, so here we go. All right, single phase 3-wire, 4-wire Y, 4-wire delta, or a 3-wire delta? The professor says
D.
D, a 3-wire delta. Survey says,
I think my cat rang in first.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
did he really?
I think the Lower Alabama beat Ray on that.
Uh-oh, all right.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Daryl.
They know
We'll
their
get it.
stuff in Lower Alabama.
They obviously do.
That's okay.
Or I think maybe he's already promised that trip to Barbados to his wife, and now the pressure's on. All right, so here we go. So we're going with D, 3-wire Y. And we obviously,
Delta.
a delta, 3-wire delta. And so we know with the 3-wire delta, we're using one of those phases as a reference. So we get combinations. You can see there where it says the voltage is voltage CB and voltage AB because we're using B as a reference. So now we don't have a separate B voltage, but it's summing them at the meter, right? Okay. Now you know I'm not just another pretty face. All right, here we go. Question number 6. Using Ohm's law, calculate the resistance, calculate the resistance or burden of a measurement of 0.2 volts and 2.5 amps at the secondary terminals. No one said calculators would be required for this. But all right, here we go, using Ohm's law. So V equals IR. So if we say V equals IR, and we're trying to calculate resistance, right? We've got A is 0.5 ohms, B is 0.08 ohms, C is 12.5 ohms, and D is 2.7 ohms. Here we come from LA again. Daryl, what you thinking on that one?
Is it big? I'm guessing real quick.
That's a pretty good guess.
So it's a pretty good guess probably. So here we go. Survey says B, right? So for us to get, if we're going to calculate the resistance, right, then we would have to take the voltage and divide it by the current, right? So we'd want to slide that I over the other side of that equal sign. And by doing that, we divide both sides by I, and bingo, we have V over I.
Yep.
So we have 0.2 divided by 2.5 equals 0.08 ohms. Beautiful. And just as a little sidebar, because you know how I get on rabbit trails, we would say that something like this looks pretty good. But if we had, because remember, we're talking about 0.5 ohms typically as being a good number on resistance you want to see out there, or burden. So this would be a good number. It'd be a nice low number, not a lot of resistance on that circuit. So we'd say we're not doing any bad on those CTs. So when we calculate and come out with a 0.08, we're liking that number. If we get like 12.5 ohms, we're not liking that clearly, or even 2.7 ohms, because it's way too much resistance on there. We know the two enemies of CTs are resistance and heat. Okay? All right. That's a true story. All right, so let's go. Question number 7. Calculate the power of a motor operating at 240 volt and 5 amps. It'd be, here are 4 answers we'll throw at you. 300 watts, 600 watts, 1200 watts, or 2400 watts. All right. Well, it looks like the Clemson Tiger just barely beat out the LA.
Just barely. But I'm just a tiger from another mother.
That's exactly right.
I'm going to roll with C.
I think so, because in my pea brain, I'm looking at 5 times 240, and I get
Exactly right.
1,200. So when we're trying to calculate power,
There we
power
go.
equals volts times amps, or voltage times current, and 5 times 240 equals 1,200.
Equals power.
Man, these guys are sharp. Okay, so 1,200 watts of power out there. All right? So let's look at question number 8. Now, calculate the consumption in horsepower of a motor operating at 1200 watts. And we know that it's got here horsepower equals the power times 1 over horsepower over 750 watts. Answer A, 2.3 horsepower. Answer B, 6.
I'm getting out the calculator, Art Flash.
C, 3.2, and D, 1.6. All right. I'm not saying all his dogs are barking, but he does have an answer on this one. I think that was a line from Uncle Jed, actually, on Beverly Hillbillies, talking about Jethro. I think he said, I don't think all that boy's dogs are barking. All right, here we go. What do you think?
Well, I had a little chat with Ray, so I blame him for this, but I'm going to say that 1 divided by 750 times 1200 is 1.6 horsepower. Choice D.
D. Yeah.
That's right.
Delta.
So we're going with a choice D, and man, I love these guys are killing it. There we go again. Ding, ding, ding,
I
ding.
wasn't fast enough with the calculator.
Ray did that.
Nice job. Yeah, Ray's back here in the back before they even showed the answers going 1.6, 1.6, 1.6. Okay, so 1.6 horsepower for that motor. Question number 9. In order to change the rotation of a 3-phase induction motor, which of the following can be done? You're going to change the rotation of the motor, so you're going to get the motor going in the other direction. So reverse polarity of all 3 phases, reverse polarity of any 2 phases, remove 1 phase, or none of the above.
Man.
Oh, there we go.
Lower Alabama.
Lower Alabama. What you got, Daryl?
Is it B?
B, reverse polarity of any 2 phases. I'll tell you what, don't talk about those guys down there. They're not just down there farming. Way to go, Daryl. So we got reverse polarity of any 2 phases. And that's exactly what would happen. So if you actually change that connection or reverse that polarity on those 2 phases, you would actually see the motor start going the other way, right? Awesome.
You have to have a phase rotation meter to check that.
Exactly right. And as you heard the professor say, you'd have to have the correct meter to be able to even see that. So nice job, fellas.
Should have one of those in your tool bag.
You're exactly right.
We always do. Thank you very much.
Yep. Phase rotation indicator.
Yes,
There.
sir.
I think this is going great, don't you, JP?
I think this is going really, really well.
I don't think this is. I think this show is huge. Sorry, it's the hair. That's the hair talk. All right. So calculate KW using the following phase A measurements. 120 volts, 5 amps, and a 0.5 power factor. 0.3 kilowatts, 600 kilowatts, 300 kilowatts, 1.2 kilowatts. Remember what we said, and we've said it a bazillion times in those, where that, what's that guy's name? It's really good. I think it's Jones or something like that. But anyway, that guy.
No, it's not him.
It's not, no, sorry, wrong guy. So he said a lot of times, and maybe even I said it a little earlier, remember when we're talking we get voltage times current times power factor equals watts. But remember, sorry, somebody's calling ducks down there in Lower Alabama again, but we've got kilowatts, remember. So kilowatts, so you got to convert by 1,000, so you got to divide by 1,000 in the end, right, to get kilowatts. Because if you take voltage times current times power factor, you end up with watts. So if you divide that by 1,000, it gives you kilowatts. So, and that's what you see on that bill. So, what you think down there in Lower Alabama, Daryl?
Would it be D?
D. Daryl says, survey says, 0.3.
Oh no, Barbados is looking dim.
Uh-oh. The ship just turned around from the dock, coming to pick you up to carry to Barbados. The captain said, whoa, drop anchor. Okay. That's okay, Daryl. You'll have a chance to make it up here in a minute. So what we did was, it looks like we multiplied 120 times 5 times 0.5, and then divided by 1,000.
1,000. That's where I messed up.
Yep, no problem. So we went watts versus kilowatts. So just remember, when you get billed, you actually get billed kilowatts and not watts. Okay?
Yep.
What can add additional burden to the metering circuit? Smaller gauge wiring. Okay. Loose terminal connections. Multiple grounds. All of the above. And I think, no, easy. I believe I heard Ray. I think Ray broke in.
It's going to be D, all the above, Art.
All of the above is what the professor says. So let's think about this a minute. We're going to add burden or resistance. So how would you add resistance? Well, let's talk about A for just a second, right? A, we're talking about what are people doing now with their returns and their wire to their CTs. They've upped and upped and upped the size of the wire, right? So at one time it was 14, and it's 12, and now a lot of people are going to number 10. So obviously that smaller wire is adding burden, and people have realized that over time, and they're adding larger and larger wire to run to those CTs. And then B, loose terminal connections. Well, we know that if you have a loose connection, it creates resistance, and actually it's kind of self-defeating there, and then it gets hot, and it gets even more resistance, a hot spot, so it just gets worse and worse and worse and never gets better when you have a loose terminal connection. And then if you have multiple grounds, that can also, because now we got multiple ground paths running around, and that can create also more burden, or resistance. So yes, the answer would be all of the above. Nice job. Question number 12. A ground detector is an instrument used to detect A, insulation resistance, B, earth fault, C, voltage drop, or D, harmonics. Let me repeat the question again. A ground detector is an instrument used to detect A, insulation resistance, B, earth fault, C, voltage drop, or D, harmonics.
Ding, 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 ding.
All right, let him. He do it.
All right, Daryl, give it a shot.
I'm going to say B.
Earth fault.
Detects
B
harmonics.
is,
I don't think it detects harmonics.
No.
yeah, I would definitely rule out harmonics. I'm with you. So harmonics is out, and then why would you think, and so how did you choose B out of the remaining three there, Daryl?
Because the ground man from
It's because of the ground, grounded to an earth,
Mm-hmm.
point.
Yes.
using
I don't know, I'm just
a
taking a
substation
shot on that.
grounding mat.
Survey says insulation resistance. So a ground detector is an instrument used to detect.
Ray not know that one either?
No.
Nope. I would put this one in the column of stumper. So this one actually stumped everybody on this one.
12 was tough.
Yep, number
I'm
12.
gonna quit.
Me too. Not only that, but I'm
Get
gonna.
out of this business.
Yes.
My
Someone.
is getting further and further away.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody punch Chris Mullins for me. All right, a ground detector.
Okay, in my world, you would use a
ground-
measure to check insulation resistance.
Yeah, you sure would.
When you mega ohm something,
Right.
you're checking the insulation resistance, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
A ground detector to
Because
me
when
would
we
be
measure
checking.
wires between something, that's
Check-
what we're doing, we're checking the insulation resistance.
Yeah, but in the substation, to me, a
That's
ground
what we-
detector.
So that's why I wasn't thinking A, that's why I wasn't thinking A.
Yes, and I would think if you're just doing it logically, like you did, Daryl, I would say also. I mean, if you're looking for an earth ground fault, or if we're talking about earth ground here, I'd have gone with B myself on that one. Yeah, because we're talking when you see ground detector, and I'm thinking earth ground. Yeah, they'd have got me on the earth fault.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right or
It
wrong.
could be an ungrounded system.
Yeah. Yep. There you go.
That's what plants have, ungrounded systems.
Oh. Yeah.
That's it. There you go.
Substation.
There you go.
You can't have that, yeah.
No.
Well, then, actually, Daryl, for that great explanation, you still get the point anyway. So let's okay. So let's go. Question number 13. Lucky 13. What we got here? Answer based on the following CT non-extended range specs. So the CT is 100 to 5. Accuracy class is 0.3. The burden is 0.5, and the rating factor is 4. What is the expected accuracy when the CT is loaded at 95 amps? I definitely know that was Ray Gore on that one. What you think, Ray?
See,
C? Ray says, what is the expected accuracy when the CT is loaded at 95 amps? Survey says B.
Oh,
0.6.
Oh, the professor.
Okay, now I'm quitting.
100% loaded.
Okay, now I quit. I'm
Do I get it by default?
yes, yes, absolutely. So tell us where you came up with that, Daryl.
It just looked right.
The CT, if it's 0.3, they're saying it's 0.3 at 100% rated accuracy. So if you've got 95 amps, you're not 100%, so it's going to be 0.6.
Yes, and exactly. So Ray is exactly correct, because remember the bathtub curve? So if you think about the bathtub curve, remember we always say on that bathtub curve, the two numbers we look at are 10% and 100%, right?
Yeah.
So Ed, we always say less than 10% it gets really bad. Remember the arrow goes up the wrong way quickly, and over 100% it gets bad. And we've always said, it's been that way forever. Now we've got extended range, there are other things going on, but we've always said right at 100%, it was 0.3, but anything less than that and greater than the 10% in that range right there, the sweet spot, it's 0.6. So you got 0.3 right at, so if it was 100 amps, it would be 0.3, but anything in that in between less than 100 and more than 10 would be 0.6.
I was kind of thinking about like what Ray was thinking. I knew it wasn't 0.1 or 1.
Right?
I kind of think like kind of what Ray was thinking.
Right, we knew it had to be B or C, exactly. So from the old bathtub curves, yeah, the 0.3 would be on the 100 amps, and then anything less than that, all the way down to 11%, if you wanted to say it that way, would be 0.6. Cool.
Hey, Art, your voice isn't changing, is it, Art?
No, it's not at all.
You sounded like a coworker of mine for a moment there.
Sorry about that. Anyway, okay. Let's go. Question number 14. What is the highest accuracy CT a utility can purchase? Ooh. A, 0.15, B, 0.1, C, 0.15, S, and D, 0.01. So these are all percentages. So you got 0.15%, 0.1%, 0.15%, and then 0.01%. What are we saying down there in LA?
I'm gonna take a guess. I'm gonna say B. I'm not quite sure, but I'm gonna say B.
I believe in one of the webinars, I remember Chris Mullins had threw up there, and if I remember, which would shock me if I did, but I believe Chris said, didn't he say that there was some that he even found out there that were 0.1? So I'm going to go with Daryl on that one.
0.1?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
15S.
15.
I thought
Yes.
it was
0.15.
I thought I had seen where on one of our webinars we had said he had actually found some that were 0.1 now. But okay.
0.15.
So, Art, I think, go ahead.
You're still going with the 0.1, aren't you, Daryl?
Well, if that's not the correct answer.
Well, just because it says it up here, Daryl, it doesn't mean it's necessarily
I
correct.
think Daryl might file a protest on
That's
this.
what I'm saying. We're going to protest
I
that
have
one.
to send it to the judges.
That's what we're going to have to do on that one. We're going to protest that one.
One in a lot of our documentation that I see on
Yes.
in the utility side, but
I believe.
I'm positive you can get a
I
15S,
think I've
but
seen
I
that.
think that there's some that are offering a 0.10.
I think it's how much money you want them to spend.
There you go.
I'm thinking
Yeah,
that I
that's-
remember that Chris Mullins had found one time some
the higher the class,
0.1s.
the more it costs.
Oh, absolutely,
There you go.
absolutely. And
How much do you want to spend?
how much do you want to spend? Like on my hair products. Okay, here we go. Question number 15. What could be wrong with A phase on this CT ratio test? Okay, so take a quick look up there, and we got duckbill probe is upside down, A. B, HB probe is backwards. C, you have a wiring error, or D, all of the above. Ray buzzed in. What do you think, Ray?
Well, let's see here. Duckbill probe is upside down. HV probe is backwards. That's possible cross phase on those.
Well, let's back up for a second here, Ray.
Wiring
So
error.
let's back up and say, what is the problem? It says, what could be wrong with A phase? What does it look like? What is it telling us?
Looks like to me, you've got something that's 180 degrees out of phase.
That's exactly right.
That's what I'm thinking.
So Ray's thinking we're 180 degrees out of phase, which would indicate maybe polarity reversal. Now, we know out there in the field we can actually have wiring that is reversed and have polarity reversal, but also when we actually perform the test, we can create polarity reversal, right?
Yeah,
So we can create polarity reversal by putting the probe up there backwards.
yeah.
We can also, and you've seen us do it on those webinars with that knucklehead I was talking about earlier, where he's actually flipped them upside down and created a polarity reversal. So I think we all know what the answer is now. What are we going to say?
D.
D. So we're going to go with D. All right? D.
It is D.
It is D. We got a winner. So as you've seen us do on these webinars many times before, we've used, if we wanted to simulate polarity reversal, we just flipped a duckbill. Or we've shown that if you have that HV probe in there backwards, that'll also do it. That's why you got to know, right? Label towards the load, right, on those high volt probes, right? And then you also know that you could have actual wiring error. So if you have on the secondary side of that CT those wires reversed, that would be polarity reversal, right?
Yeah.
So if you have that, then you would also, the test equipment would show you polarity reversal, right? So D, all of the above, seems to be the right answer. Nice job, Phyllis.
Hey, just a side note, I can't see, only thing I could see was like the question stuff on the right-hand side. The, ratio test, I can't see it. I mean, it's just almost, it's so small, it just looks blurred. So
Is
I
that
didn't
right?
know what it was. I couldn't see it.
Well, okay, well,
You don't have to give us excuses,
Yeah, yeah,
Daryl,
yeah.
just because you didn't have the answer. But that's fine, though. I love that, though. That's fine, though, Daryl. That's fine. That's fine.
You
No
will
job.
be a winner.
Daryl, in case you haven't noticed, you're way ahead in this thing. So
Yeah.
Barbados is looking good. So you can coast at this point. You can coast at this point, Daryl. Just
Barbados is coming in.
Barbados looking good.
I can't see it.
no, that's fine, sir.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
Well, what we had there was it showed on A phase, it showed fail, and then it showed in red 180 degrees, which we've seen if you follow the red, remember? So if you get a red fail, and then you look down there and you look for the red number to tell you why it failed, in this case you look and you see 179.908, and that tells us that we're out 180 degrees. And so to get 180 degrees out, which signifies polarity reversal, then you have all of these three could work. Flip a duckbill, your probe in backwards, and also I might say if you have your flex on backwards, it would do the same thing as B, right? If you put your flex on backwards and didn't put the arrow in the correct direction, you would also get polarity reversal, right? And also, just a little side note, and well, I may mess up a question coming up, but at this point, I don't care. So I would just say that also you can use that to find, you can use that high volt probe to find your phase up there. If you put it up there and you had, if it told you that you had cross phasing, if you put that high volt probe up there and you look up there and you say, hey, I don't even know what is A, B, or C, nothing's telling me that, throw that probe up there and if it tells you got cross phasing, then start the test again and move it over to the other end and you're not on A, you're on C, right? So you can do it that way. All right. Question number 16. In a three-phase, 4-wire Y, each phase is separated by blank with respect to the other phases. All right. A, 360 degrees. B, 180 degrees. C, 120 degrees. And D, 90 degrees.
Ray, are you okay?
I don't know if all you folks out there in TV land have noticed something. I got, to indicate that they know the answer, I got one with a hairball, I got a barking dog, and I got a duck down in Lower Alabama. Just so everybody understands what I'm dealing with here, it's like I've gone to the zoo. But all right.
We need to get Chris to come off the sound effects budget.
That's exactly right. It's like I'm walking to the zoo. I go by the lion cage, he's got a hairball, and then I go over here with the wild dogs and they're barking, and then we go over here to all the exotic animals and the ducks, and I got them quacking. So here we go. All right. In a three-phase 4RY, each phase is separated by blank with respect to the other phases. What you think, Ray? C.
I think I got it first, I'm telling you.
Yeah, he did.
I
He
think-
said it first.
I
He
think
said
the
it
duck
first.
had
The
it.
duck had it
Yeah,
first
the
on that
duck
one?
had it.
Yeah.
Oh, my
He said
fault.
it first, so.
My fault. I was too busy watching the lion cage. All right, so here we go. So we're going to go with, survey says, C, 120 degrees. So, and Daryl, what would those actual angles be? Those three angles for the three phases?
0, 120, 240.
0,
Yes, sir?
120 and 240, or 120 and negative 120.
Nice.
Wow.
So,
Getting both angles. He's sharp down
I'm
there.
just telling you. I'm just telling you. So in a three-phase 4RY, that's exactly right. There's 0, 120, and 240, right? And we always use typically that 0 as our reference. So the other guys might be messed up, but you can always remember you can count on that 0 with the equipment to be your references. Off of that, that's how we reference all the other phases, right? Good job, good job, good job. Okay, question number 17. For the same amount of power delivered, losses in a single-phase system will be less compared to losses in a three-phase system. I'll read that one more time. For the same amount of power delivered, so we got the same amount of power, right? But you got losses in a single-phase system or losses in a three-phase system, which will be less? For the same amount of power delivered, losses in a single-phase system will be less compared. So is the single-phase less or the three-phase less? We're saying the single-phase is less. True or false?
Single
Single
phase.
phase less.
True.
True. And
True.
why? Because it cancels out.
Oh,
Oh.
I
Oh.
missed that one too. But the professor got
Oh.
it. The professor got it.
Professor Ray?
Well, the professor said true, but he also explained why it's false. So maybe we should give him a half credit.
Oh.
You know what? I
Because-
think, you know, Art, this one might need to go to the judges because of the way the question was phrased. It's kind of hard to, maybe, which one
Well,
gives less losses, single phase or three phase? Ray, you want to comment on that?
well, if you've lost a phase on a single phase system, they're going to cancel out each other.
Well, yes, and then actually, I'm just looking at it kind of in generalities. I'm saying to myself, how are you going to lose? Where are you going to lose more, on single-phase systems or three-phase systems? I mean, if there is a problem on a three-phase system, typically you're talking about a lot more money and a lot more losses, right?
Yeah.
So just in generalities, you would say, yeah, a three-phase system. If I have the same amount of power delivered,
You
so
could have a bunch of single phase systems that
that's right.
you've got issues that you haven't tested. So in other words, you're testing only your three-phase, everything on your three-phase systems, but you haven't touched your 4S's or your or your deltas.
So in this case, he's saying for the same amount of power delivered. So what he's doing is trying to eliminate what, in other words, typically on a three-phase system, we do have a lot more power, right? That's why we have a three-phase system, CT and everything, versus a single-phase system at the house. You're going to have a lot more power delivered at a plant than you are over at your house, unless you live over in Nashville and you sing on TV. But if you're doing all this, I would say the reason why he's saying false there is it's different than the actual just amount of power delivered, because he's tried to eliminate that with the first part. So he's saying losses in a single-phase system will be less compared to losses in a three-phase system.
Okay.
Well, and I think the cancellation, like Ray's saying, you'll just have a total loss, whereas in a three-phase system, if you just lost, let's say you had polarity reversal on one phase, that would still leave you a phase left. Whereas to what Ray's saying, if you have polarity reversal, you could cancel it all out. And you've seen many times, once again with that knucklehead on the webinars, you've seen where when we've shown that in some of the error scenarios, we had no pulses, right? If you had polarity reversal on a single-phase system, we sat there waiting on a pulse, and we finally said, I'm not going to get one because I've canceled out the two phases and one cancels out the other. However, on a three-phase system, if I canceled out one phase, canceled out the other, I've still got that third phase that I'm going to get something off of. Sound good?
Sound good?
Something good.
All right. Question 18. What makes the best electrical conductor? Ooh.
That's a good one.
A, iron, B, copper, C, silver, or D, gold.
The duck.
The duck
The duck
has
here.
quacked in. What you got, Daryl? Look, Daryl, I love the way you quack in and then you start really looking, studying. You really are a game show contestant, aren't you, Daryl? Because you want to buzz in first and then you can figure it out. What you got, Daryl?
Silver. I say C, silver.
Ooh. I would probably go D.
It's gold.
I'd go D, but we're going to see. Survey says. Oh! Whoa! Come on! Come on!
He knows it.
Come on, Daryl. That's what I'm talking about.
Studied up for
Silver.
this.
Oh!
Silver.
Absolutely.
Contactors are silver plated.
Nice. There you go, baby.
True.
That's true.
Contactors. They don't contact them with, they don't plate them with gold. They don't plate them with anything that's silver.
Yeah.
That was a nice one.
Mm.
Knowledge coming out of L.A. Thanks, Daryl. Appreciate
I
it.
might be the only one that left, I know though.
Doesn't matter. That one right there, you're good for the rest of the show, Dale.
You just won.
You just won your trip to sunny Barbados. All right. Question number 19. Which of the following quantities cannot be measured using a multimeter? Ooh. Okay. A, current. B, power factor. C, resistance. D, voltage.
I was just about to buzz in.
I will say that I have I'm just going to say I do
got
have
you,
a
Ray. I
power,
beat you.
I have a power factor meter at home.
Mm.
But that is not a
Multimeter.
So
Ah.
I just wanted to say that, but I do have a power factor meter at home.
Nice. What you gonna go with,
I
Daryl?
have a multimeter, but he's got a power factor meter.
What we thinking, Daryl?
B.
You're exactly right.
That is correct. It's got to be.
B,
That's
power
it.
factor.
That's it.
That's right. When we slap on a clamp on multimeter, we can see the current and we can read the resistance because we can read the voltage. So if you think about it, if you can read the current and you can read the voltage, you should be able to read resistance. Why? V equals IR. So that sucker can sit there. If it can read the current and it can read the voltage, it ought to be able to tell you the resistance.
Yeah.
But power factor is a whole different matter
wax.
because we're taking into account relationships between the different phases and to be able to calculate the power factor, because remember, it's that angle on the vectors and it's the cosine of the angle. But really all we need to know is you need to be able to see the relation between the phases. And a clamp-on multimeter is not going to tell you that. It will read straight up current, resistance, and voltage.
You have to be
But
able
they
to
do make
measure
a-
all of them at the same time.
But they do
Yes.
make a power factor meter. I
They do
that.
make a power factor meter.
Yes, sir.
That's
And
right.
Ray
You
has
left,
one.
you left temperature off there.
And weight.
And weight.
Old school. It's
Hey,
like
Phil.
a clamp-on meter.
Your friend James wants to know whether or not they actually teach materials engineering at Clemson.
Not in my class.
Wasn't part of the curriculum, is what he's saying, ladies and gentlemen. All
We had
right.
materials back then. Everything was made of water.
Everything was water. That's right. I think that was on the side of the ark, wasn't it? I think Noah said that.
We had wood.
It ain't nothing but water. It ain't nothing but water, as far as I can see.
Everything we had. Wood.
Yeah, I think that was that was on the back of it. His bumper sticker. Ain't nothing but water.
Ain't nothing but
That's
water.
right.
We used to carve the wood with other wood.
With other wood. That's
what we had. That's what we
right.
had.
So good deal. So power factor, no, but the rest of them you can with a clamp-on multimeter. Nice job, fellas. Okay, question number 20. Which meter test equipment manufacturer? Nice. Very nice. Right, okay, here we go. Now here's where we're lobbing it up for old Daryl.
Well, Alabama's pretty much buzzed in.
And
on
Daryl ding did. Go ahead, Daryl.
You know, I work with a lot of
Brand X, Brand Y, Brand Z,
Powermetrix.
Powermetric.
That's pretty good.
That was a good one right there. I like that one.
Well,
Nice
you think
one.
about it, Powermetrix does have a certain John Jones and a Ray Gore all in the same company.
Yeah, we
That's
got Phil
right.
Fischbach.
And
We
then you got Phil
Jerry.
Fischbach, you got Jerry. I would say I'm very humbled by the compliment by Daryl, but I would say that Phil actually, to me, having been here coming up 7 years in just a couple of months, I would say the number one resource here at Powermetrix is the people. I would absolutely say it is the people. I don't think I can say that enough. Yeah, I'm proud to tote the equipment around, but to be able to tell someone that they can call Ray or Phil and to work with someone like JP, I got to tell you, it's the people. It's the people here at Powermetrix. So, well said, fellas.
That's the last question.
That would be the last question. And
I'm going to need about 10 minutes to tally up the points.
Nice, nice. 10 minutes to tally up the points.
I don't want to mention Dominion machines to him.
I give my points to Daryl.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, we really appreciate it. Hopefully gained some knowledge and also had some fun with this morning. But thank you so much to our friend down in LA. And he's not just a customer, he's part of the Powermetrix family. And so we really appreciate everybody out there.
Hold on, just 1 minute.
Oh.
Hold on.
Oh boy, here we go.
Uh-oh.
I have no idea what's coming. He's disappeared off.
He said, hold on.
Hold on, he said.
It's like we're waiting for
Now
that.
we're all gathered around the screen looking to see what Daryl's going to do.
Oh, I bet he's coming back.
Drum roll.
Yeah, I think he's coming back with an Auburn shirt.
Drum roll.
I think he's coming
I
back.
saw a
with,
hand.
Uh-oh.
Nope, here it is.
I think he's coming back with something Powermetrix.
Oh! There it is.
Other side.
Representing, baby.
There it is.
Representing.
There it is.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
That's cool.
And we're very.
Out of John's truck when he was here.
Yeah, that's why I was wearing a T-shirt at my next call, because I went back to my vehicle and said, "Where's my shirt?" And,
It's so small, but it worked.
yeah, it would definitely be small. So once again, we just can't thank people like Daryl enough, part of the Powermetrix family, and thank y'all out there. And we're all dealing with what's going on right now, but hopefully brighter times are ahead for us. But in the meantime, we're going to keep slugging it out. And if you guys need anything from us, please give us a holler. And if you need anything webinar-wise, if we want to get on there and do some training, we're actually doing that this week for some folks. And so it's, I think you've noticed through this, it's not about selling, it's been about training this whole time. And I'm quite proud of that we haven't been pitching products for this, golly, how long now?
Coming up on the
Today
year.
is the 60th.
The
I think.
60th.
It's either today
That is
or
a lot.
next week is number 60.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Golly. Wow.
60
I tell you the big joke with this, folks, which is funny. You can totally get this. None of us expected this to go this long, so we really should have done one a week from the start, so we wouldn't be running. It's harder to come up with stuff because we were doing it for 2 a week for so long. But hopefully we're really looking forward to doing that field testing, and I get to go out there with a professor and do some testing with another friend of Powermetrix, another family member of ours, and we're going to go over to his utility and do some testing. So we're really looking forward to that. Hopefully Mother Nature will cooperate. Keep your fingers crossed for us. Say a prayer so we can get out there and do that testing, and then we'll have some really good webinars for you to show actual field application of what we've been saying on all these, and you've been seeing on these benches of ours. You'll be able to actually see some of these things we've been talking about in action. So until next time, we really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. And God bless. Be careful out there, okay? Both for all the virus stuff, but also out there working, all right? Make it home safe to your families. I can't think of a time in our history that we need more Christian heads of households making it home safe and being with their families, all right? So y'all be careful out there, all right? God bless. Be careful.